Hardwired Live. Welcome, Kingdomites.
That's Jenna.
And that's Sharon. We are just sitting here this morning. Well, we're drinking coffee, first of all.
And it's raining.
We got to put our priorities straight, you know. Yeah, and it's raining in Southern California.
Yay.
What the heck? That never
Our 13
happens.
inches of rain for the year.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it'll be good. Water those plants. While we're here, we are, obviously, we're always searching for truth, and we want to increase our faith. Those are some of our priorities for just doing these act talks. And gosh, we have a subject that's been rattling around.
Yep. This is true.
It's been like what?
A month at least, and then yeah.
And we figured, well, we better just do an act talk about it because
it's important.
It's important. So before we get into that, I'd like to invite you guys to email us at hardwired365@gmail.com. And I'm inviting you to send us your risky faith story. We want to go ahead and start gathering those from people and share them in our talks. So a risky faith story is something like, you know, how do you trust God? Or what was a time that you can tell us about that you really had to put your trust in Him, and not only trust, but you had to obey Him. And then we want to know what happened.
Real important.
Sometimes that goes easily, sometimes it does not go easily. Like, I always think about the one, you know, like when I go to the grocery store and I only have a certain amount of money in my purse, but I forgot to count it before I went in. And I'm like, okay, Lord, I can only have enough groceries, you know, like as much as I can possibly buy or have money in my purse. And, you know, He always comes down to like the dollar of what I have in my purse.
Right.
It's amazing. So anyway, that's one of my little
nuggets.
Risky faith story, because I could have just turned around and not gone in the store or whatever, you know, but I trusted that I was going to have that what do you call it? Provision. Yeah.
Yeah, that important thing called food.
That's it. So Sharon's going to go ahead and start the topic, since she was the one who came up with it first as far as what God was sharing with her.
Because of who Jana and I are, we often feel and hear from the Lord quite a bit about the current kingdom situation. I'll just say it like that. So what's been on my heart a lot is, you know, what's God going to do with all the evil? How's He going to address all that? So the first word I got was subvert. He's going to subvert the enemy. In and of ourselves, we can't do anything about the enemy like that. We can just be obedient and do our part in the kingdom, our puzzle piece. So basically, simply put, that means God's really going to knock him off his high horse, his worldly throne, so that God can show Himself in His glory. But then the second word came, and it's reparation. And if you look it up, it's Reparation, and then there's a second spelling, which is Repar. Oops, that's not right. TON.
There are two spellings, and we
that
don't
out.
know how to spell either one.
I thought I had the other one here. Anyway, there's two spellings. They mean the same thing basically, and the base word is reconciliation. That shouldn't be a surprise. But this is what it means. Apology, atonement, indemnity, payment, redress, remuneration, renewal, repayment, restitution, adjustment, damages, dues, emollient, expiation, indemnification, penance, propitiation, quittance, recompense, redemption, repair, reprisal, requital, retribution, reward, satisfaction, settlement, making good, and squaring things. Starting with the first word, it's there's somewhere else I read too, it's vindication. So what really caught me was these are all the words we're hearing in the prophetic community right now about what God's getting ready to do. And it also was given a word at the beginning of the year about his return and returning things. This is the Jubilee year. The Jubilee means the year of restoration. It's very, it has some more details to it. And some of it doesn't apply here in the United States because we don't live in Israel. However, because we partner and we're for Israel, we get the same benefits. I'll just say it like that. And of course, we're God's people. So I think what really caught me about these two words and the timing of everything was the fact that we have a lot of chaos going on right now. A lot.
Yeah, you could say that.
It's very head swimming at the moment. And I just want to bring up a few, and these are news titles or news articles that you can just open up your computer or turn on the television and get whatever news outlet you prefer to look at. And these are all verifiable. So, and this is what we're dealing with. Not to be a downer this morning, but we have rampant suicide. Our local high school, I'm not going to name it to protect the people, but our local high school had 3 or 4 suicides in 1 week.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So we also, I know some ministries that are in Alaska who've actually been called here out of the States to go to Alaska because the suicide rate there is so high. There's some communities in the eastern part of the United States that are Native Americans, indigenous tribes, who also are suffering. And we also have, I'm sure we've all been affected by it at some point. But it seems to be at an all-time high right now. So I'll just continue with that gloomy news. We're seeing a lot of uncovering of wrongdoing, such as selling baby parts, the Me Too movement for women who've been sexually abused or harassed, foreign borders that are unsecured, geoengineering and weather control technologies that have 175 U.S. patents, so it is verifiable that they're spraying chemicals in the air for a lot of different reasons, as they call it. Human trafficking, social standards that are trying to redefine our biological and cultural gender identities. And I could go on, but those are a few of the bigger ones that we see kind of on a regular basis. So I think we're saying all this to bring it to the forefront because the chaos that's happening is so intense. Jen and I will sit here, and in the spiritual realm, we can see everything just kind of flying around. We can see the chaos. But what we are asking, and we've been asking, and we've been talking to each other, and we have friends that are talking to us about this, is, are the people ready for the further chaos that's coming? The things are being undone so God can get to the bottom of it and balance the books. He wants to come and right the wrongs. So that's what we're talking about this morning. Our heart is for the people, and really the bottom of all of it is lawlessness.
Ugh. What a way to start the morning.
I know, it's so ugly, I'm sorry, but it has to be addressed.
It matches the rainy day. But not to make a joke out of it or not to make light of it. We have a lot of horrific things going on in the world, and maybe something like, let's take suicide as one. Maybe our suicide rates among our teens isn't as big as what's going on in Syria, for instance, but it's what we are living with now here in America, and we do have the tools to fight this, which is why, for me, hearing the word reparation is so uplifting, because it's like, okay, we know there's human trafficking going on all around us, by the way, people.
Yes.
When you go to the grocery store, you've probably run into a few people who are being human trafficked. Now, human trafficking can be anything from literal slavery, locked up kind of slavery, to prostitution, to having 8-year-olds go and sell candy bars in strange neighborhoods or at the front of the grocery store. So So people are being used and abused all over the world right now, and that is part of the chaos that's happening. I know that I've heard and I've said in the recent past that, the darker it gets, first of all, you hear the darker it gets, the closer Jesus is to coming. Yes, that's true. He's not here yet. So what we need to do is do our part and remember that the darker it gets, the lighter it's going to get too. So as we have all of these deaths happening, these unnatural, untimely deaths that are happening emotionally, physically, spiritually, we will also have that many miracles happening. And they're going to be just as powerful as that death.
Yep.
So we need to start getting ready and expecting the miracles, expecting the healings, stepping out on that limb and just asking. Because right now he's going to do it. He's going to open doors. He's ready. I mean, gosh, we could just take the example of, that's my alarm going off. Sorry. We can just take an example of something about my alarm going off.
Divine interruptions. How's that?
There you go. Divine interruptions. I love it. Yeah, it has to become our daily walk now. It's no longer are we able to just sit lukewarm, kind of halfway drinking the milk, even though we've been saved over 3 years. Biblically, we're supposed to be eating the meat. We're supposed to be getting into the serious stuff. And if you are not, I'm just going to throw out a little godly reprimand in all love there, because we've got to. And if you feel like you need more help with that, read your word. That's all I can say. Get with God and read your word, because we have to be ready. We have to be ready so that when our neighbor's child commits suicide, we can go over there and we can do some miracles for God in that home.
Yes. And even raising the dead.
Amen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big one.
Duh.
That's what just popped up. Yeah. We're going to see a lot of that.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be happening any longer in the jungles of South America.
Yeah.
It's going to happen here.
Yep.
And we have to believe. First of all, we have to believe that this is even possible.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't even believe that.
True.
And they wouldn't even take the risk.
Right. And I think one of the biggest things that we're hearing and understanding from the Lord is he's well able to do this, but it's a sign to not only for the hope, but a sign for people to believe.
Right.
Signs, miracles, and wonders.
It's all for the person to believe,
Yes.
to come to Christ.
Yes. Believing and unbelieving. It strengthens our faith, brings people to the Lord, and it shows God's glory.
Yay,
Yay,
God's
I
glory.
know. And we're in a window of grace right now too. I know this isn't people's favorite subjects, but I'm still going to bring it up. The current president, Mr. Trump, is chosen by God. He represents,
Whether we like it or not.
I know, whether you all like it or not, Jehu. He was a leader. He wasn't necessarily, he was a military leader. He wasn't even necessarily a Christian or a God-believing human being, although President Trump is. However, God used his skills to deal with what was going on right where the country was at.
Yeah.
Just as God deals with us right where we're at. So we have an opportunity, a reprieve right now to really press into God, sit in his presence, read his word, and be ready to receive. I think that's one of the things we've spoke about here quite a bit is be ready to receive. Believe that God's going to show up for us because we are going to still have some darkness that we're going to have to deal with in this country. And we have things to fulfill in Scripture. And it's here. We've been talking about that. It is here.
It is here. And whether we like Trump or not, doesn't matter. Honestly, it doesn't matter. And trust me, he's not my fan, not my biggest fan. but God placed him where he's at, and so he still needs prayer. You know, he is our governmental leader, and that brings me to government and the fact that we need to start setting government up around us in order to be ready, and what I mean by setting government up around us is like having your support system, having groups of people that are around you that become your sphere of influence. You become part of their sphere of influence, and you create this little miniature government, so to speak. And in that miniature government, you have help. You're not alone. Gosh, we could talk about this for like a while. So, and I'm sure we've made a lot of you really happy. Not being sarcastic. Yeah, you know, one of the things that God has spoken to us, to Sharon and I, is that, you know, we just have to say what he's telling us to say.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not, this message wasn't easy, which is why it's been rattling around us for a month. You know, it hasn't been an easy message. Yes, we want reparation, and we could talk about this on a very superficial level. Yay! God's going to give us stuff in 2019.
Right.
It's all coming back, you know, or whatever. But that's not what God is completely saying. That's not it.
Yeah. He's also going to be delivering us out of whatever slavery and bondage we're in. It's a year of liberty also. Jubilee was liberty. They gave back the land and gave back everything you've lost. Anything you lost was given back during that Jubilee year.
Will you explain why this year's Jubilee year and not 2017?
Okay. If you do the math, Hebraically, I'm going to say it like that, they took the liberation of Jerusalem. Well, first they took 1917, which was the original, I believe, political or governmental of them putting their foot on the land in Israel. Although they were already coming back in the 1800s to Israel. The Aliyah was starting much earlier than people actually realized. So then you add the 50 years, was 1967, and they had the 6-day war in Jerusalem and recaptured the capital, which was Jerusalem. Now we have 50 more years of a Jubilee, and Jerusalem was recognized by President Donald Trump as the capital, which has not been done since the regathering and the bringing back of the people to the land. So that's extremely important. The Jubilee year is the 50th year. You have 7 times 7, and then they add a year. So let's go back to the 2017. Well, that was 50 years from 1967. However, on the Jewish calendar, they are at 5779 right now. And then what you do is you add 240 years, which makes it, on our calendar, 2019.
And the 240 years was?
Yeah, it was the time in Babylon when they decided, they were in captivity, and they chose not to count the calendar because they were in captivity. Now, I don't know if that's because their lives were threatened. I don't remember that little detail. That's one of those details. Or they just chose not to do it because they were in rebellion. I'm not sure. I can't remember. It could be both. However, we are at the Jubilee. I was doing some more research to find out the understanding of more of what the U.S. is going to experience and his people here. Because again, in the beginning, I said, if you support Israel, we're a Judeo-Christian country. So that applies to us. But God is getting ready to do such an outpouring with the harvest that we don't always see it immediately. Although Israel saw President Donald Trump tell them, yes, we're going to recognize Jerusalem. So that was a giving back. That was a giving back to them. So that's that little tidbit.
Yeah, little rabbit trail, but important nonetheless. Mm-hmm. Bottom line, and you guys can look that up, and I'm sure Sharon's, if she's like me, which I know we're very much alike, that if we got any detail wrong, we're sorry. Don't send us a bunch of crazy emails.
Right.
but the good news is that we're here in Jubilee. This is the time. And I know that we've been feeling it in the spiritual realm. We've been feeling that it is now, it is time. As of, a few years ago, gosh, for a while, many, many years, I kept thinking, like the Lord kept saying, just wait, it's coming, just wait. So the message was always, whenever I wanted to do something, he would say, just wait. And it's like, I'm tired of waiting, Lord.
Right.
But as of 2019, all of a sudden it wasn't wait anymore. It's here.
It's here.
It's here. And it's like, okay, what's here? And how do we do it? Like what does life look like now that it is here? And what is here is the reparation.
Yes.
That's what's here.
Yeah. And I think what's exciting about that word, if you look at all those words, those are the words that Jesus' death on the cross produced.
Yes.
I think that's amazing. The atonement, the reconciliation. That was just like, oh my gosh. And there's some legal terms in there too. Many years ago, the Lord was telling me, I will vindicate you. And if you look it up, it's a legal term. So often what Jesus did on the cross for the government of God was legal. It was a legal term.
Yeah, he came to fulfill the law and the prophets.
Yes.
I mean, that's
to make it fuller.
That's
for the life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, pretty amazing stuff, you guys.
But be ready. Our big thing today is we want you to not let the chaos get to you because it's going to get more chaotic. We want you to be able to sit down with the Lord and not be moved.
Build a support system around you, whatever that looks like.
Dig your roots in deep into love.
Dig those roots, yeah, especially to love. And we also wanted to bring up, each time we do an ACT talk, my favorite part of the week. Yeah. And as I was thinking about what do I say for my favorite part of the week? Well, this is the beginning of the week, so I really haven't had much happen.
Have to go on last week.
I'll have to go through last week. But no, I was thinking I was going to say today is my favorite part of the week. And I know that sounds really, I don't know, maybe Pollyanna-ish or optimistic, but right now, today, I'm not in a bunch of pain. I feel pretty good. And so right now is my favorite part of the week so far. Yeah.
Well,
pretty simple.
That's pretty amazing. I just think the fact that we are alive and healthy and breathing and we have God is like, yeah, that's amazing. I think mine too. Just always knowing he's going to work out all the little details of whatever we're doing. Yeah.
I love it. Absolutely love it. All right. Well, maybe we'll have to come up with a different favorite part for next week. Or stop doing this on Monday mornings. I don't know. No. Anyway, we will... Oh, don't forget to send us your risky faith story.
Yep.
Again, it's hardwired365@gmail.com.
We want to hear them. We're going to read them. Give us all the details because those are important because God is the only one who can work all those faith stories out.
That's right. Absolutely.
I'm going to tell one of mine. I think...
Sweet.
I think I had a really good one at one point. No, I have lots of them. This one comes up, so I'm gonna say it. At one point, I needed money to fix my car, and I was like, oh shoot, where's this gonna come from? And it was money I didn't have, of course. So one day I was walking to lunch in the parking lot at my job, and sure enough, on the ground there's a $100 bill, and I'm like, what? And I needed exactly $100. And I'm looking around going, all right, I don't see anybody else like looking for this money on the ground. And I heard the Lord say, and don't go into work and ask somebody if they lost money, because I'm honest like that. Although it was a very busy parking lot, anyone could have dropped the money. So yeah, so that was, yeah, and he says, and get it done. So God will do those things, you know. Yeah, so we want to hear your stories. Mine is always about, you know, like not knowing where it's coming from, just trusting. But yeah, that was a pretty good one. That was one of them.
That's a really good one. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and sign off.
Spread the word.
Be you, share you.
Bye.
Bye.